guys, what's going on? It's Eli back with another review video, and for this one, gonna be reviewing my number 3 all-time favorite Disney Pixar film. Now, for number 1, it was Monsters Incorporated, and number 2, it was The Incredibles. Well, for number 3, it's Toy Story 2. That's right, Toy Story 2. Everything about Toy Story, because what can you say about Toy Story 2? What can you say about Toy Story 2? It's great. And you know what? There's a lot of great stories about it because as John Lasseter said that when he was somewhere after the premiere of Toy Story, like he was at an airport or something with his family, and he saw a little boy holding a Woody doll because he was excited to show it to his dad, and it touched John that they ought to make a sequel, not just for that kid, but for everybody who loved Toy Story, the characters, just everything about the first Toy Story film. That says it all about them, about the reasoning of doing a sequel to Toy Story 2. And it was, Toy Story was the first ever computer animated feature, Hollywood, Hollywood feature, however you want to call it, and its sequel, Toy Story 2, was the first ever computer animated sequel to a computer animated movie. So yeah, Toy Story started it all. Well, because with it being the first one, computer animated film, and also having its sequel be the first, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and a lot of crazy stuff happened with Toy Story, like the changes to the story, and because of that, and also them working on A Bug's Life, you name it, and the co-directors, and John Lasseter having Lee Unkrich and Ash Brannon be the co-directors of the film, while Lasseter still, finished up working on A Bug's Life, Okay, but actually, he left, mostly, I think it was, Lee and Ash Brannon were the two co-directors of the film. I don't think John was gonna direct it at first, because he was still working on A Bug's Life. And, Steve Jobs, he pulled a lot of the animators who were doing the CD-ROM games for Toy Story. He pulled them from doing more of them to be the animators for Toy Story 2. And so, Lasseter checked to see how the movie was doing, and yeah, not so good, as what I heard. They all agreed it sucked. And they asked Disney if they could do it again, and they were like, nah, it's fine the way it is, it's the answer they didn't want to hear, and they also said, besides, you don't have time to redo it again and have it be finished in time, for the deadline, But, Lasseter didn't care, and screw it, we're gonna redo the whole thing again, And man, throughout that year of 1999, they pretty much worked their butts off making that film. I think for 9 months, because the deadline was November, and boy did they get it out on time. They managed to make their deadline, and man, it was one heck of a job for them. They succeeded, everything, and you know what? It goes to show, and they made a fantastic sequel, it's because Toy Story 2 is that, and it's one of those films that because of the pressure and for them working their butts off to make that film, it's also how Universal and Steven Spielberg worked on Jaws, they went through a lot of crap and just such, to do that film, but hey, they managed to make a really fantastic movie, Jaws. And for Pixar, Disney Pixar, they managed to make a really great sequel, and it for being the first computer animated sequel, a sequel to a computer animated film, that is. And with Toy Story 2, everything about it, because from the characters, the animation, to the music, the songs, okay, the songs in the film, there are 3 songs, and we have a new version of You Got a Friend in Me, sung by Robert Goulet, which probably have to be my favorite version of You Got a Friend in Me, just saying, I like that, and of course Randy Newman's, and also the Riders in the Sky, they did their version of that, which is good too. And by the way, speaking of Riders in the Sky, they did one of the other two songs, Woody's Roundup, Woody's Roundup, And when they've gone on tour, the Riders in the Sky, they've done that song, I think, yeah, they've done that song a few times, Woody's Roundup, because it's a great song and one of their best, And yet the Riders of the Sky, they did extra songs and such for Monsters Incorporated, if you guys remember those. And then the third song, which is a very beautiful song, and hey, I will admit, it definitely is. And it's When She Loved Me, Randy Newman did it, and, I forget the name of what's-her-face, but she did it in beautiful singing, and because the song centers around Jessie and her owner, Molly, Emily, that's right, God, Emily. Jeez, I almost said Molly. But it was Emily, so, So, yeah, that song and that sequence, with Jessie's backstory, it's very touching and emotional, I will admit. And with the characters from, well, we've of course got Woody, the old gang, Woody, Buzz, Rex, Potato Head, Slinky, Ham, Bo Peep, Rocky, Mr. Spell, Sarge, the Green Army Men, Sarge, and we also have the new characters, the new toys, from Wheezy to Jessie, Bullseye, Stinky Pete, a deluded Buzz, thinks he's a space ranger, the evil Emperor Zurg, and Barbie, We also have Al and Jerry the Cleaner, Lots of great characters for Toy Story 2. And that whole part with, like, Andy's Buzz, having to deal with deluded Buzz. It's funny because even, like, Buzz has to deal with a deluded Buzz because he must feel how Woody felt when he had to deal with when Buzz was deluded and such, thinking he was a space ranger, and yet Buzz was just like, tell me I wasn't this deluded, and him saying, like, you're a toy, we're all toys, you hear me? Buzz has to deal with that, like what Woody had to deal with, It's funny, it makes sense, you can see, And the toys, oh my gosh, like, they think it's actually Buzz, they're not figuring it out, but they're toys, they don't have brains. And the appearance of Barbie was funny, Barbie was originally gonna be in the first Toy Story film, but Mattel turned it down. And, but ever since the first Toy Story came out, I bet everybody from Mattel to the toy companies, whoever, and even Billy Crystal, who turned down playing the part of Buzz Lightyear, everybody kicked their butts. Like, they kicked themselves, they regretted it and such. And, like, some of the toy companies are just like, here, put my toy in your, if you're gonna do something else, Toy Story, put my toy in, Funny. And hey, they did it, they finally got Barbie in Toy Story 2. And one part I want to mention is, like, that part where Rex tries to catch up with him in the car, like, slow down! And Potato Head looks at the mirror, and it's a reference to Jurassic Park, if you guys know, because as they drive and such, they see the T-Rex in the car window, and even, like, the Rex was inspired by the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, and Josh Whedon had to do something, and I think was one of the people that created Rex, because Josh Whedon was involved with the first Toy Story film, so, and also, like, the climactic parts, like the climactic scene in the elevator shaft, with deluded Buzz taking on Emperor Zurg, and I gotta say, Emperor Zurg would have to be my number 3 favorite, Disney Pixar villain. Number 2 being Syndrome, and number 1 being Randall Boggs. So, Zurg is number 3. So yeah, that scene was really good with Zurg taking on, deluded Buzz battling and taking on Zurg, and that whole scene, that whole part, no, Buzz, I am your father, Of course, I have to mention that. And like, that part with Stinky Pete, we find out that he's the villain, in this, it's, because some of those Disney films, because there's one of the characters, like, you don't know who the villain is, and you kind of, this character seems like he's nice and such, and very heartwarming or anything, very kind, but no, turns out to be the villain, and those lines that Stinky Pete gives, like, fair, I'll tell you what's not fair, spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf, watching every other toy be sold, And another thing is like, Stinky Pete and Lotso from Toy Story 3, they share a lot in common, like, how they were treated, and, and such, you get the idea. And with Stinky Pete saying, "Children destroy toys, you'll all be ruined, forgotten, spend an eternity rotting some landfill," and Lotso says, "We're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away, that's all a toy is," They kind of share a lot in common, and even how they get defeated a bit similar, and the music, Yeah, very similar, so. Jesse and Bullseye, they were good, of course, I remember that Bullseye was originally going to talk, and Jesse was supposed to be a cactus, and going to be called Senorita Cactus. Again, Toy Story had an original story. The Toy Story 2 that we have and we got, this is the second. This is like a plan. It's like a new version, or Plan B, I guess you can say. If you get what I'm saying. So, and Stinky Pete was still going to be the villain. It was still going to be a villain in the original version of Toy Story 2. The original story. But in the new story, Stinky Pete's still the villain, while Jesse and Bullseye, they're good guys, good toys, and they end up joining Woody and the gang. So, Woody, Buzz, and the rest of the toy gang, And by the way, because, and also some of the human characters, like Al and, Jerry the Cleaner, they're good, and Wayne Knight voicing Al, he was good, really fitted the voice of, being the voice of Al, and yet Wayne Al and Wayne Knight would also voice Zurg and Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which is really cool. And Jerry the Cleaner, as I'm sure a lot of you would probably know by now, because they, according, as John Lasseter said it in the commentary and such, let's just use the character of Jerry from Jerry's Game, use the model of Jerry and have him be the cleaner, And Jerry was voiced by Jonathan Harris from Lost in Space, Dr. Smith, Never Fear, Smith is Here, and of course, he had previously voiced Manny the Mantis in A Bug's Life, Ingrate, him, and he's been put on for display only. You handle him too much, Al nudges him like, "It's amazing, you're a genius, he's just like new," And a few Easter eggs from their previous film, A Bug's Life, and Toy Story 2. Like, there's Bug's Life toys. The river from A Bug's Life is in the opening where Buzz comes in, and yeah, that opening sequence in Toy Story 2 is fantastic, It isn't until, at the end, when Zurg blasts him, what the? And, it's a video game. Rex is playing a video game, You almost had him. I'm never going to defeat Zurg, Wheezy, let me say, Wheezy is a really good character, of course, and and also being voiced by Joe Ranft, one of the legends of Pixar. And also, the airport sequence is another great sequence, starts off, they tried to get them out of the green suitcase, and of course they take on Al, because Al, I remember Al says, "Oh, I always despise space toys." He punches Buzz, "Take that, space toy." Woody pops out, "Hey, no one does that to my friend." He kind of fights him and such, "Your choice, Woody. You can go Japan in peace, or, in pieces, and if he fixed you once, he can fix you again. Now get in the box," And Prospector gets defeated, / Stinky Pete, being put in the little girl's backpack, "Look, Barbie, a big ugly man doll. Ooh, he needs a makeover," It's funny because, "Hi, you like her. She's an artist." And Al's, he's practically, oh my gosh, he's entered in chaos, the little girl, And also, okay, continuing on with the airport sequence, Bullseye makes it out of there, but except for Jesse, so they go at Woody, Buzz, and Bullseye go after Jesse, and that whole part with them, the airplane is about to take off, Buzz and Bullseye are riding and such, "What's a cowboy without his hat?" "Buzz, get behind the tires!" "Jesse, let go of the plane! What are you, crazy? Just pretend it's the final episode of Woody's Roundup, but it was canceled. Well, then let's find out together, They managed to get off the plane, the plane takes off, everything's fine, and I just love that part where another plane lands, let's go home, And, because with Andy going off to cowboy camp, and he couldn't take Woody because he was broken, he comes back, Woody's, all the toys are there, and what's really cool of Mr. Sketch, or is it Ed? Yeah, it's Edge, yeah, Edge. Writes, welcome home, Andy. Oh, wow, new toys, Andy fixes Woody, I mean, he didn't have time to fix Woody because literally he had to go to cowboy camp, and like, as his mom said, 5 minutes and we're leaving, well, it had been 5 minutes and they had to go. So, he had just ripped his arm off and no time to fix him, and so it ends, because Wheezy, he had lost, earlier in the film, he lost his squeak, and then, he got a new squeaker and such, and so, Wheezy sings "You Got a Friend of Me," sung by Robert Goulet, and then like Woody, looks out and outside the window with Andy and Buzz, like, you still worried about Andy? Nah, it'll be fine. I'm proud of you, cowboy. Besides, when it all ends, I'll have old Buzz Lightyear alongside with me, for infinity and beyond, last line of the film, and the song ends. We also have the bloopers, of course, because Bug's Life had bloopers, and now Toy Story does, and so did Monsters, Inc., yeah, the bloopers for Toy Story 2 are funny. Pretty funny moments and stuff. Pretty funny bloopers, like, because with Mrs. Potato Head putting in the stuff in Mr. Potato Head's back, parts with Buzz and Woody pranking Buzz, like drawing like a mustache or something on his helmet as he ignites it, and writing, draws like circles around him because of looking through Lenny, and then writing words on his wings, darn it, Woody, it's funny. Yeah, so everything about Toy Story 2 is fantastic. It's a really great sequel to Toy Story, and for it being its first sequel, and for it being the first ever sequel to a computer animated feature, and like almost every computer animated franchise or anything like that is kind of trying to be like Toy Story 2. I mean, I wouldn't, maybe, I don't know, but just, But anyway, so, yeah, so for Toy Story 2, well, 10 out of 10 stars for Toy Story 2. It's fantastic. It's a great sequel it's a great sequel for it being, for it being the first sequel to Toy Story, and for it being, and as I said, for it being the first ever sequel to a computer animated feature. So, So again, 10 out of 10 stars for Toy Story 2. You guys let me know what you think of Toy Story 2. I mean, who wouldn't love Toy Story 2? It's a great film. It even won Best Picture for Golden Globes next to The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. So again, 10 out of 10 stars for Toy Story 2. Hope you enjoyed this review video. More new review videos coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review video. Take care, peace out, and to infinity and beyond.